Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11. I'm going to cough here. So we're going to continue this, blasting ahead as we try to advance south, north, what? No, we're down in the south and we're moving north here. Rommel. We're getting them to having a supply. Well, the Italians are having a massive supply problem. Not really their fault in many ways this time, because they have a level 3 port and all this army down here, and they lost their northern port, which isn't very big either. It's more than one, I believe, but you can't see that very clearly at the moment. Okay. We should give them money for crude oil. I'm hungry. Okay. I'm building an airbase here to see about that. May be quicker to get here. So if I can get here, then I can invade here, and I can invade other places. Yes. We would give them no trading across the Atlantic. Trading out here with Iran because we're controlling much of the way, and even though Britain could, I don't know if they're aware of our transport lines here to even try to stop them. Okay. Well, am I? What are we doing with Syria? I'm getting to really not like this Syria. We want to influence them. I don't know if there's specific events to get them into the Axis or whatnot. Okay, now another thing I think we will do here is unload these guys. And we're going to send these transports up here. Yes, you may have supplies. Yes, you may have supplies. Oh, good. Our main sort of transport fleet is here. Let's. Well, who do we have? Ah, yeah, he's a good one. We're gonna place. Move all these guys over to there. The Turpits, get the Turpits to. Escort this. He needs promoting. And we will attach you to the Greek command. That's where we're putting all of our Mediterranean forces. Italian may be more historically appropriate, but they're way over here. And most of our stuff is looking east. Oh, we have, looks like we have some, oh, Spain. Sure, you may do that. Ah, yes, good. Really, in my opinion, more garrison units and police units, but they have a police force attached, so that's good. Now let's. No, Come down, get somebody without, no, not Luftwaffe. I'm not even going to do O-Pro, even though there's a O-Pro unit there. Well, I guess these Luftwaffe we're just going to go with it. No, I said I didn't, and then I did hit them. A few of these guys, don't know why they're here, because I removed the generic leader file that just has entirely made up things. Obviously, you know, why is Gaz here have a quartermaster skill? I have no idea. Grand Cross, I don't even know if they looked up his record to see that he earned the Grand Cross or whatever, you know, or the War Merit Cross or something. So, you know, a lot of these are just entirely, I don't know, BS would be the right term, maybe. So, yeah. Trying to find not terribly useful. Well, I guess we're going with Luftwaffe officers. These are going to be a Luftwaffe command. Not my original plan, but that's the way it's looking like it's coming. Remke, he is Luftwaffe, but he's commando leader that we're not going to waste on some garrison troops. And we have, okay, these guys here, they're not super strong, but I think fairly good. Who is supposed to be out here? Maybe they're back in port somewhere. Can you get out to there? No. Okay. Convoy rating passive. I know we can base out of North Africa here shortly, but no, not Donuts. He's the best quality. I just don't want to lose him in battle. That's why I don't give him the command. You very well can if you want to put him out there. Yeah, it looks like a good commander. Do we have a... No, not really. I did a little bit, but got a lot more organizing to do. Okay, large fuel tank has advanced. That I believe is this one. Good. Well, yeah, we'll do that. Now these guys are going to come up here. I want to send in some mountain troops here too to help fight, but I'm thinking it's just going to be too much of a supply headache. So I'm going to see about jumping in on them and taking that. Nope. No oil across the Atlantic. Still building that. Got a lot of stuff I want to build here. Oh, oops, oops. These are not supposed to be built. Those are to be built after the fall of Russia. That's when we're gonna build them. Don't worry, they're gonna happen, but they're happening much later. Do we even have any more operations out here that they could sink? I don't think so. We had a few here that were supplying supplies into that little thing. Okay, mass assaults. It's under here. Okay, we'll let that go. Increase morale. Nav tactics. That is here and here. Yeah, we're gonna continue this. Okay, Iraq. We give them money for crude oil. Okay. Again, we got goods. Oh, they've taken out the British. There. Looks like they're going to win their little war. We are influencing them. Invite to faction. No. But they're coming towards us faster than they're going towards anybody else. They no longer have a British or Allied border element. Okay, you made it up here, yes. Okay. These guys are coming down. We don't, well, don't have too, we have some out in the desert kind of thing, but a lot of these forces that are stacked up here are going to go somewhere else. So let's rebase down to here with them. No. Okay, attack ground crew. Okay, that's good for them. That's all good. Heavy bombers. We have a few. We're going to try to reduce national unity on Soviets once we start the invasion there. No point in doing, well, can't do it now. We're not at war, but okay, well, we're doing fairly well with stuff. Better than normal for me. I think we're about ready to start hitting the 41s of those, but, well, let's push ahead on these guys. Improves overall organization, in which it should. The more, shall we say, headquarters / logistical kind of support you have, the better off you're going to be. Oh, okay, so we're up here now, finally. Okay, they don't have supplies, or much supplies. So what we're going to do here is, nope, we're going to come down here. We're going to fly you up to here. Where are our supplies currently going? Oh, we are putting supplies up here. Okay, so that's why they don't have supplies. So, let's go. Yeah, out of Kiel is fine to did leave, didn't they? Yeah. Okay, marine activation. Yay! We can finally do the landing craft flotillas. Yay. Elite commando units, those are cool. And amphibious unit training, that's also nice. But we want to immediately start doing landing craft flotillas. That will be spectacular. Okay, now before we start losing any, oh, come on. There we go. Lion supplies. Yes, we are moving it conventionally. Supplies there conventionally, but get them going. That's why I love these things. Okay, that we can't go there, so we can only go. Okay, Denhuber, we're going to attach them to. Oh, there's too many. That's right. I'll move you to a port, but okay. I'll attach you to here as well. So let's send in Deetle. I want him to start the attack. There we go. You attack up to there. No. Who's up here? Ah, Croatia. Saw opportunity to help us out. Good for you. These guys up here too. Overstress the airbase a little bit. Well, let's stress into that airbase too, maybe. We'll get some air power to help them out. How big is this airbase? Oh, small, very small. That's better, but no, we should have an airbase there. Help deal with the Russians someday, if nothing else. Sure. Ground attack. Ground attack. I'm wondering, what is the terrain difference? I know they're both. Why did this work out? Because their light infantry work out so much better? Lost some ground, the Italians have. A lot of that's due to supply, I think. And being Italian too, of course, doesn't help, but we're always supplying into here moderately well, but we could also add to Port Said. Chile. We're gonna supply, sure. And we have more technology to share about. Okay, Fleet commando units. Yeah, I think that's what we should do. We have a little bit more too, as well. Okay. Yeah, let's approve those. Come on, Italians, don't F this up for me. Okay, yes, you may have a teeny little bit of energy, sure thing. Okay, you now join in, so we're attacking from two provinces. Well, I guess we have an airport, airbase way out there. Okay, no, thank you. Gestapo here. With Flick the Gestapo searching for the fallen Madonna with the big boobies by von Klomp, Colonel von Strom decides to hide the painting in a Nachtwurst and have it hidden in Cafe Rene so it oh man, I need an editor. Did I ever say that? So if it is found, he won't be blamed and Rene will take the fall. Okay, no, I don't maybe need the editor. I was just thinking it was going to be something else. So what they do is they roll up the painting and stick it in one of these Nachtwursts and mark it. And the event is just also letting, because this is also good to play if you're playing as England, because you will have a few choices on a few things to do. Okay, so we're here. We're pounding these guys. We need more support. So come down here. What sort of... Okay, we got these guys. We did detach them from their command structure. And these guys, they'll help out. No, thank you. Okay, four-engine airframe. Advances. I guess because we still have the, or we'll always have the going for tactics, because what we chose, we're yet to be able to do that. Improve our heavy bombers. But oh well. Cargo hold. Well, we won't do that just yet, but that definitely increases transport capacity. Yeah, let's get this going. Okay, British bolster Malta's air defenses. And I was planning on invading Malta. I've gotten distracted because I wanted to save this down here. But I'm still planning on invading Malta. Was thinking about airborne, but well, airborne backed up by ship, but we'll see. British have successfully implemented a heavily escorted supply convoy mission called Operation Substance in July 1941 from Gibraltar to Malta. Amid attacks by the Italian submarines, the aircraft, and Moss speedboats, the convoy managed to deliver its much-needed cargo to Malta. The convoy of 6 cargo ships carried 1 light and 1 heavy anti-aircraft regiment with 30 field guns to strengthen the island against possible airborne assault. Admiral Somerville, commanding officer of the force escorting Force H, was knighted in recognition of his successful command of Force H during Operation Substance. Yep, picture of the Grand Harbor there, airborne or anti-air stuff. And anti-air is really good against stopping airborne assaults, because if you mount it well, it's also wicked against ground targets. So, as you probably can figure, you know, may not punch heavy armor very well, but pairs are coming in light, and so if you use your anti-aircraft gun even once they get down, so costing the United Kingdom a bunch of stuff. Supplies gained in Malta if we cut it off, and though this may not happen if we had cut off Gibraltar. I hope it wouldn't happen if we cut off Gibraltar. Again, I've not looked at these in detail because I want to sort of be surprised by them. You guys might not think this is either good to admit or for somebody who's doing what I'm doing, or think or something. I wouldn't watch my stream until I had played the mods through once. I don't want to know these kind of things until I'm playing the game. This is just me. Now, I'm not trying to trust me. I'm not trying to convince you not to watch my Let's Plays. No, I want you to watch, and I get that it's a show, and several bunch of people over the years now. God, it's been that long since I've been doing this stuff. Yes, have stated that they sort of like the history lessons and all that, and that part I would definitely want to watch the series for. But the sort of do I want to be spoiled for what is going to be happening when I play it? I would not want to watch this before I played it. Now, obviously that's not everybody. Okay. Pavlovian. I am a bit Pavlovian on some of this stuff. Okay, we are going to drop. Oh no, come here. We're going to drop the Graf Zeppelin. We finally got the Graf Zeppelin built. Okay. I don't know how Potsdam class. But honestly, I don't know the number of air wings it can carry. Oh, 2. Okay, CAG size 2. So I built 1 CAG because I knew it would carry at least 1. Don't really know how big the real Graf Zeppelin would have compared to the other American 2 CAG type aircraft carriers. We would give them not that we don't want rare materials, just we're not getting them across the Atlantic. Okay, now okay, now we have that, and we're giving them first to the regular Panzers as opposed to the light Panzers. These guys theoretically have Salmas, and these guys have what are they? The R. Well, it almost looks like an R39 or something with a longer barrel. But hey, Not too much difference between them, and we'll be getting some more of that. And I've also moved these two Madsen anti-aircraft guns down here. Yeah, let's reinforce the good instead of trying to bring up the bad. Oh, hitting the wrong key. So they will have some integrated air support as well. Okay, so these two divisions are done, in my opinion, of what they're getting. They've got their foreign panzer. They've got a motorized infantry regiment. Really, it's more than a battalion. 4,000 men. Towed panzer artillery. Let's see. Move this way. They're still moving pretty fast. Tank destroyers. Those are sort of goofy pictures, but recon and some anti-aircraft guns. French trucks. So we're going to, let's move them here. Let's move these guys onto Dunkirk. And again, I don't want to know for scripted invasions. Let's move these guys here. Now I'm sort of doing a compromise between, which is maybe never a really good thing, between the sort of central reserve of von Rundstedt and Rommel's right on the beach. And we got two more garrison units to stick out. These I've sort of somewhat designed for islands of just cheap ass stuff. Put them on an island. Again, we're getting the Luftwaffe commands. And it's even more appropriate since these have anti-aircraft guns. And Luftwaffe. Okay, access convoys to North Africa. Nice photo. Again, this thing. Again, I think it should be checked. Yep, there's submarines here. And yes, submarines would be operating here, but it's a lot different if you are moving supplies through here. This was obviously the furthest forward they could move supplies through, but this port, you know, and getting submarines out, you know, from Malta to here isn't that big of a deal, you know. But it was always, and even if you're coming down there, you were in effective air operation zones from North Africa, you know, wherever, because obviously there's an air base here, but they could shift air bases along here. So it, you know, you're thinking a lot of the stuff is coming this way here. So Malta's right in the center for air spotting, for signal interception, for submarines operating. But if you were able to come through here, I'm not saying you shouldn't maybe have an effect, but it shouldn't be as big as it is once I get all of this. And I have a limited amount. These are some of the guys I was thinking about storming the beaches with. We got them. Well, whatever happened to the Roland Brigade? I'm just going to use them. Well, I think we get attached somewhere. No, it's thought I dropped it here, but I've lost it. Maybe it's somewhere useful. Oh, how are we doing in the Ethiopian front? Okay, you guys are now needing to walk north or drive or whatever, but materials. Yeah, that's a pretty big chunk down. No, thank you. How's my airbase doing? Coming down out in the desert. Okay, here, this one. Okay. In a while. Ah, yes. An event not likely to happen in Hearts of Iron 4. Just because of things. Okay. The Martyrs, well, technically Jagdpanzer ones, but that would make a longer title. Martyrs 1, 2s, and 3s, but like I say, technically, I do know that. It's the Panzer 1s, the Panzer 2s, and the 38Ts. This is a, you know, started out life as a Panzer 1, changed over, put the 47mm gun on it. Don't know why they didn't later upgrade some of those to... I don't even know what happened to those, quite honestly. Just all destroyed. Upgrade them to the Pak 38 once those guns came out. This is an upgrade version of the 38T. You can see it still has the whole machine gun down in there. Now this is a... They made some of these production models, and I think some of these were conversions on the Panzer II hulls. You can see it's sort of on taller housing that they built up over the superstructure. The later ones, purpose-built, because again, I think some of these are purpose-built, but I think they're sort of, oh yeah, stop building the Panzer IIs, let's throw this stuff on top of it real quickly and produce some, because I did look up and found that some of these were produced. Don't know, some were converted, and these are the conversion models. They, for the, the Marder IIIs, which are based on the, you know, the 38Ts, they took the engine from the back and they stuck it in the front, sort of, you know, next to the driver, and removed the, you know, the forward radio operator machine gunner, whatever you want to call them here, and put the gun mount in the rear. Did that, and they radically reduced the armor down to just sort of like, hey, it'll stop machine gun bullets and most shell fragments. Just because the guns are getting heavy, and this armor wasn't going to stop any of the 76mm or the 76mm guns of the Soviets, or the 75mm of the Shermans, and it may or may not stop. I don't quite know right offhand, depending on also angles of impact. Even the 37mm guns of the, you know, the Stuart light tanks. You know, just depending on it. So why have armor? Why have excess armor that isn't going to really stop much? So they lightened the whole thing up. They sort of did a similar thing with the Marder IIs, but they kept the engine in the rear, and they just shifted all this and moved the gun mount forward. I really sort of like the Marder IIs, and from a production effectiveness use element for the Army, absolutely, by the beginning, before the beginning of 1941, I would have stopped all Panzer I hull production. I would have definitely made the Jagdpanzer 1s. I would have did the sort of SIGs that are basically what they do is they just take the big 150mm infantry gun and put it in a box. And the reason the box is so tall and so wide is because the wheels are on either side of it. It's just basically the towed gun parked up there, and you know, I don't know if they're welding it or just somehow brackets holding it down. I mean, it's solidly put to the vehicle, but if you look at an inside picture of the big huge gun shield, and we'll be seeing, well, I probably should talk about it when we see it here, is because of that. So I would have stopped that. But these two are really, you know, by this time, by the beginning of our sometime very early late 40, I would stop all production of the Panzer II as a tank and start doing Marders as well as Wasps. The Wasp, the 105 millimeter howitzers, are based on the Panzer II hulls, and they keep these going all the way through to the end of the war as well. To the Marder IIIs as well as the SIG. They do the big infantry guns in there. We'll be seeing those soon. So what this does is, you can no need if you don't want to, but this represents and is supposed to sort of be tied in with, go on the map, I think. I mean, I made it, but it's a long time ago. Guess not, unless it may be in production. I think I put them on the map, but I could be wrong about that. Oh, we gotta do some of this stuff. That means there's a bunch. Oh, just a little bit more. Okay, well, they're here then. Where are they? Not in Berlin, but they're up here. Yes, where are they? Okay, they're here. So we now have some tank destroyers, more tank destroyers, and more tank destroyers. Some you'll see they're sort of at level 3, sort of representing that, and others are at level 4. Well, that should be... They'll upgrade. They're not like the foreign armor that won't upgrade. So now we have a bunch of tank destroyers, 6 of them in all, to use however we want. I haven't thought of right this game what I'm going to do with them. And like I say, they will upgrade, so no problems with that. Okay, well, because we are going to have bases out in the Indian Ocean, I want to be able to control those seas as well as many other locations, so we're doing more of that. Let's do, we haven't been maybe doing enough. Let's do 4 twin-engine fighters operate as escorts to some of these various bomber types. A couple of cheap divisions. Well, yeah, mechanized infantry, a full proper brigade. We're gonna do stugs because we like the stug life. Yeah, so it's not just a little bit, but not much. Motorcycles, trucks, HQs. Yeah, we'll do motorized engineers. No, you know, okay. Motorized engineers are 6.84, and let's see about, yeah, these are cheaper. Motorized support. There we go. So, yeah. Okay, that's good. Motorized support, because they do have the engineering qualities there too. So we will produce a couple of these. Partially what I'm doing is building expensive units. They do take up manpower, but they're taking up the ICs. Instead of building, I am building some. You can see some here that are light infantry and regular infantry divisions as well. These are going to have the cool HQs attached to them. These I use HQ just because I want them to show up readily as light infantry. Okay, well, you come back up. Oh, that's right, we can do a second air flotilla. So we will put one of those into production. No, just one. But we're going to move that to the top. Actually, want it in production. No, we're gonna support down here. So I was thinking about invading Malta right now, but I'm going to. The Italians don't do it first, but okay, guys. We're crawling forward through the rugged terrain. Yeah, I understand. Ah, SS Cavalry formation. Okay, SS Cavalry. Basically, SS Cavalry Brigade. It removes the Totenkopf Ritter Standard. It gives us a little better unit. And yes, it's on the map. So now, basically, because before it was this plus this, now we have the motorized support unit. And we're going to send them right back down here, I guess, for the moment to fight partisans. I sent. Oh, these guys don't have supply currently. Okay, I sent the abandoned English equipment here. Oh, the reason they don't have supplies is because they're sitting in the capital. When you sit in the capital of the puppet, I learned this. If you set a unit in the capital of the puppet, they lose supplies. Now I don't think these guys do, but mine do. So that's why these guys are losing supplies. But before we do that, and which will lose organization. These guys don't have any really good punch, so I sent down our captured or abandoned British equipment here. And we're going to give this guy an anti-tank unit. And this guy the anti-air. Anti-air is not as good a... not as much heart attack, not as much punch, but still some. Yeah, let's reinforce the Hungarian border with Croatian troops. That's sort of appropriate culturally. And we'll send the light vehicles. I don't know down here. Get them out of the capital. Why aren't these guys without supply? I don't know. Ah, 20th Panzer Division and the two more motorized brigades. Okay. Now these are reasonably good. Armor units. And we now have... We'll create an armored core or something here. We now have some least... Prior to, yeah, 42, 43 type... element of deal with any invasions, hopefully. Norwegian resistance to occupation of Norway by Nazi Germany began after Operation Revolverheld, I don't know, in 1940 and ended in 1945. During the war years, the resistance movement in occupied Norway lost 1,433 members killed, 255 of them were women. Okay. Did we have an outbreak of stuff? Maybe. Okay, guys. Get on board. Oh, we should probably have the Jaeger Division HQ come up too, but well, no, not you. Jaeger Corps, but that'll be the next transport. This one, we're going to get these guys there now on the Baltic flotilla. No, we want them on the other flotilla. Okay. Well, the Baltic flotilla may, well, I don't know. The other one will move a lot faster, I think. This one, yeah. I don't know if a lot faster, but somewhat faster. You guys can come back down here. Leave the port, leave the port, leave the port, leave the port, leave the port. Now. On board, there we go. On Raiders command. Okay, okay. And small ship engines have advanced. That is good. Oh, wrong one. There we go. And it's grayed out. Great. What do we shift? Down to naval HQs. And okay. We have enough supplies right now. So we're going to reduce down from our big overproduction. We're going to produce more than we need, like that, but not as big an overproduction. Yeah. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, well, oh, it probably went here. Attached to this command structure, yeah. Okay, Deedle's command shattered. Okay, well, not even winter time. How are their units varying? Let's send them more air power. Something sort of kind of worth it. There we go. Get them up here. Got a bunch of forces still there. Okay, Michelle of the Resistance. I will say this only once. You need to help. I need your help blowing up a railway bridge. The Germans will never be able to capture us. So Renee gets dragged into many different misadventures. But some of them are guerrilla activities. So we get a bunch of infrastructure damage here around here. Let's see, that was up to here, there, and then that. So we can either rebuild it or not. But they blew up our railway bridges, our infrastructure right around there. The French guerrillas are messing with us. Who's running this battle? Weisenberger. Okay, SS Panzer Grenadier HQs have advanced. Very good. Don't know why these guys switched off the Panzer Brigade. I don't know why we haven't got those yet. Probably a timer issue. That's good. Yeah, we can go with motorized. And we should have another decision, yes. Get those. Not built yet, but getting there. How's Rommel doing down here? Still advancing, good. Barely any supplies, but alright. As long as you have some supplies. Large battery capacity, 4 submarines, yay. Okay, that's a one and done. Yeah, let's do battle commanders. That will also help reduce time in between attacks. Okay, now he's in battle. And he's oh, hell. I've been informed the Italian battle, or whoever the commander, not me, is ordering a retreat. Yeah, goddamn. Now hopefully Rommel will take over it, because it'll outrank whoever's there. Okay, German reaction. First Atlantic Conference. The ever closer relations between the USA and the United Kingdom are a concern to us. We need to consider our next moves. Okay, there is a hostile alliance. Yes, there was. Okay, well, we've already... I don't know how we're reducing our relations with England any more than they currently are. And, well, we've also already pretty bad with the USA, but it's getting worse. Okay. And we're gaining organization and popularity. I'm not exactly sure why, but alright. Okay, convoys for North Africa. Like that the pictures are changing. That's really good. And sort of on this interesting note, as a YouTuber, I look at my stats a lot. Not, at least I don't think for so much for personal gratification or whatever, but I try to figure out what's working and what isn't. If I love a game and it gets almost no views, well then why bother putting it up? Now if it's getting some views and it's not that difficult, say like War Thunder, I'm going to get back to playing War in the East soon. I just shifting over computers and other things have sort of delayed some of the stuff. But you know, so War Thunder, it gets an okay amount of views. I'm going to be playing the game anyways because I like driving the tanks around, so I might as well record the episodes, and if there's a good one, I throw a lot away. I throw, like in those, I throw more than 10 away for every one that and a lot of them I stop halfway through because I know it's not going to be any good. I'm getting killed unspectacularly. Sometimes I'm getting killed spectacularly, and it's cool, and I'll put those up. But just not being good, so I'm just clearing them out. So yeah. You know, so, but if it's something that, you know, that just, it's not getting that many views, no point in playing it. So I'm watching all this stuff very carefully, and I do know that there's the Hearts of Iron 4 viewers that aren't really interested in Hearts of Iron 3, and there's Hearts of Iron 3 viewers that aren't really interested in Hearts of Iron 4, but, you know, there are real overlaps. I'm not quite sure how big the overlap is, because I don't get any stats on, you know, who's watching what, you know, or whatever, but I can just see from overall numbers that they're not the same crowd. So I'm going to keep playing both those games. But I noticed that if I keep using the same graphics, viewership goes down, even with like a number change, episode 20, episode 21, episode 22. Viewership goes down. But if I keep, and this is what, because the new picture, interesting to look at, if I change the graphics, viewership goes up. And like on this series, I noticed very early on, if I use Hitler in the picture, wow, spike, 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 so many more views. But if I use Hitler 2 or 3 times in a row, even though they're different pictures, not as big a spike. So it's once in a while if I used Hitler, I may almost 50% or more views than standard. It'll spike up. Or if I like once in a while, not if I use it every time, but if once in a while I use Rommel or Guderian, it'll spike up and then go back down. So I've got to sort of keep changing it. And it's sort of like this, that it's sort of cool that more North Africa events, revolverheld. Fine, again, I'm, obviously we're not losing much supplies or whatnot here, but still. I like, again, revolverheld, if you're watching this, I really like the concept of this Axis convoys going on. I really like that. It's just the Czech for controlling the eastern half of the Mediterranean is what I would like. But I'm really appreciating the idea that these are not all the same image over and over. That is really cool. So it holds your interest, even though you're seeing this event often. You're not seeing it. Okay, when do they get here? 15th of August. When do they get here? 11. Okay, they get a little later. Rommel gets first, so Rommel should take over. Yeah. Rommel should be in charge now. Because you should outrank whoever the other commander is. So now we're in charge. Now we're going to hold off and we're going to beat these guys. Okay. The Deutsches Theater was a German language theater in Oslo during German occupation of Norway. It was established on January 1, 1941. Again, I think the reason some of these are happening as late as they are is because of timer issues. They, may have a date plus something, 30 days later or 90 days later or some such thing, and my stopping and starting I think are messing up the timers. That's why I'm sometimes very reluctant to do something that will take 6 months or a year and it's based on a timer, because it can get reset a lot. Just sort of a warning for you and how you're playing. If you play for long stretches of time, at least in game clock time, it's better. To the point that when I used to play this at times before I was doing the series, and even when I wasn't modding too much, I'd just leave this running all the time. Leave my computer on, just Alt-Tab out of it, come back to it when, the next day, so it would be on for a week or more at a time just to keep the timers going. But, okay, established January 1, 1941, following an order from Joseph Terboven. And the first performance was held on April 22nd, 1941 at the National Theater. Okay. So we have a 6 options will happen. Most are good, I guess. They're all are good. Some are just more good than not. So we will do that. We could decide not to. We're doing that. Create Africa Division ZBV. Was formed in August 41 around the cadre of smaller units serving in Africa. It was supposed to take part in the assault on Tobruk in November 41, prior to which it was placed in border position on Solum Halfaya, together with the Italian Savona Division. Its first action was Operation Crusader, where it fought at the city Rezig on the Tobruk perimeter, suffered heavy losses while defending city Raze, and against the breakout of the Tobruk garrison, it was consequently withdrawn from the battle area to the Agdibia, whatever, in December 41. Okay, yes, we want that. And again, I was asked, I don't remember, cool, what I did to make these happen. I went into revolverheld's, again, I'm not looking too much, but I knew this. I went into revolverheld's check for, to see if these units would be created. And he has a check that the British, I think, are controlling Tobruk, or maybe Benghazi, but I think it's Tobruk. And I just deleted that line, that check, for it. You still have to have the Sonnenblum initiation to starting the Africa Corps campaign. You still have to do all that stuff. And he's, I think, rightly, if you're taking sort of Hitler's war view, I think instead of taking the long route, we're going to be about taking, go and grab these guys. Hopefully, no, I don't like that either. No, we're going to move the carrier, hopefully successfully. Normally we'd want to have it escorted with some submarine or some destroyers, but hopefully they can get down here without. We're going to move them to at least Benghazi to pick them up there. And Hitler, if you were in the middle of the war with the Soviet Union, would not have been creating or sending, or creating in this case, divisions down to North Africa if the Italians were doing well. I totally agree with that. But I am going down Alexander Bevan, I forget, sort of his the historian view that had Germany focused in 1941 on the Mediterranean and taken it and doing a 42 attack on the Soviet Union, Germany could have won the war. And so I am specifically going with a Mediterranean/African focus, so I think it's reasonable for me to get these units here. Oh, shoot. Now, I know I was told that since it was the Italians that were in charge here, but Rommel isn't retreating because he's in charge of this thing. These guys are retreating now. Long-range aircraft production advanced. Good. Let's look at this. Yeah, we'll let this continue. It's 42. Hitler does the jig. Yeah, I've talked about this before, I think, but maybe it, because of a crash. Basically, the jig is somewhat of a... because they made a little movie reel. It's been years since I've seen it. But he does sort of like stamp his foot. But they sort of take part of this and sort of an early version of photoshopping, obviously not on the computer, and make it look like he's sort of dancing a jig. So yeah, we want the manpower. Nothing I can do about that. And Rommel's in charge of this battle. He has been in charge of this battle. This isn't the Italian commander telling the division to retreat, because Rommel is the commander, was the commander when the 2nd Division showed up in the battle line. Jet engine research has advanced. That's good. We'll let that go. We've got enough extra. Fine. We give them supplies for money. Sure thing. And we need to check out what we're doing up here. Are you here? Yes, you're here. So yes, you come back to here again, I think, because we're moving up. The Jaeger, the Corps. That'll be a better... that we may swap out. Oh good, these guys have advanced here. HQs and the transport unit. Well, okay. How long until they can attack? Okay, 29 hours. You can go now, so you're gonna go now. And you're gonna go now. We want to, if we can, overrun these troops, but if not, we don't want to have much time to reorganize. Okay, come here. Oh, those aren't ours. These are ours. Not these guys. These guys attack here. A little bit better shape. Like here, and these guys here never really got in the attacking game. But we're shift up here. Come in close support. Oh, wait. Are these all going after it? We want to. I may have not been paying close enough attention. Okay, ground attacking, good. Ground attacking, okay, those guys. I guess the ones that weren't ground attacking. Yeah, take on all these. Major victory. Where do we have the major victory? Oh, here. Okay, well. What is the train exactly like? Okay, mountains, where we go. Let's attack here with Rommel's Corps. Let's see, what does our position look like? Some armored cars under the Free French. And we have our air base here. It's still sort of coming up, but we have it at least. So, let's put you guys. Well, and we add these. No. You guys fly down to here. Rebase. Now, Flieger Corps T. Where are my other big transports? Air supply up there. And you're doing air supply here. So you can come up here. Grab another division. We need to sort of go heavy with this. You guys down to Goering. You get this unit. No. Don't think we need to keep flying here. Let's come down here and grab students. 7th Flieger Corps. Okay, civil defense has advanced. Great. Time to stop that one. Jungle unit training advance. We're going to head towards the jungle, as you all know. So we're going to keep that rocking. And submarine snorkel. Still not sure what an electric boat is. I'm sure I could Google it, but I don't know. An electro boat. Because during the time period, what I'm understanding is the way submarines work is basically they're diesel engines. They either move the propeller, you run the engines, move the propeller around, or they charge the batteries, and the batteries move the propeller. Now, with an electro boat, is it just purely the diesel engines charge up batteries and the batteries run the propeller? Maybe. I don't know. Because nothing is purely electronic nowadays. I mean, you always have to have something. If you're running if you're running nukes, that's sort of a steam generated version of electricity. So you're generating steam. I think diesel electrics are still quieter, and it depends because propellers and all kinds of other stuff. But I do think you mostly can do a diesel electric quieter than you can do a nuclear submarine, because, again, I say mostly, because they're set up to run on batteries alone. So when you're running on batteries alone, you can be quieter than a nuclear because you're still sort of doing steam, whatever. Now, obviously, you can, theoretically, I don't know if nuclear submarines have large battery packs, but if you had large battery packs, you could power them up under nukes, which are quieter than steam, and you can be under the water while you're generating them up, and then switch to batteries to be the quietest. But I don't quite know what electro boat means. I'm sure it means something. Like air conditioning, I know they had it in there, which once they got that, they also had ice makers on submarines. At least the U.S. did. The U.S. could have ice cream. Germans couldn't, but the U.S. could have ice cream on their submarines. Maybe the Germans could too, I don't know, but they had. You can make ice. You can make ice cream on their submarines, but they had that. I know the Americans did. The Americans also had on their submarines, I don't think the Germans did, but desalination plants. Take in seawater, filter it, and get rid of the salt from it. I think boil it or whatever and condense it to extend patrol light time. I don't know that you're going to necessarily take any more showers, because from looking at some of the units, some of the photos, they don't look very big. So you're not, depends on how many crew you have, but you're not generating huge amounts of water, but probably enough water still for a, once a week, 3-minute shower or something, and a, yeah, there we go. That's a good one. What are we? Submarine snorkel. Oh, we could do greater level. I figured that was a one and done. Once you had a snorkel, you had a snorkel, but I guess not. So we're going to stop that. And in drinking water and cooking water, kind of basic stuff, the Americans, to some degree, could keep that going. So they were sort of food and fuel, and obviously torpedo, ammunition, whatever you want to call it, dependent on their operational durations. Part of the reason I'm pointing some of this stuff out is that it just, to me, shows that once you get it to a war of attrition with the U.S. at this time, modern days can be different, but you're just going to lose, because the U.S. can just overbuild, outbuild amphibious unit training. Yes, we'll do that. Just about everybody else on the planet at the time. Now, like I say, I think Germany could have won, and this is partly what I'm showing you by playing. So, I mean, I don't quite honestly want to, because I don't type fast. Oh, well, okay, so how do you think it won? Can you please tell us, gamer? Well, I'm sort of telling you by playing the game. Is Germany could have won by securing enough of the Mediterranean and being ready to deal with any possible, invasions, but limiting the scope of the possible invasions. And then once that happens, smashing the Soviet Union fast and effectively. And then once you do that, even if you just create, Reich commissariats are really direct sort of occupational rule, because we can talk about we've occupied, or we've annexed it, but this is functionally a Reich commissariat kind of thing. You can talk about them as puppet states, as sort of we do here and we do in Hearts of Iron 4, but they're really direct rule by the Germans. The general government is is that kind of thing, and the Reich commissariats are not, at least for the great bulk of them, and it can vary from area to area, but they're not like Teboven doing power struggles with Quisling over how to run Norway, with the pre-war mail service, still operating, and the pre-war electric company still operating. Basically, coming into the East, I'm not saying, especially in the Baltic states, who are only briefly occupied, that's why I'm saying it's maybe a little different there. But a lot of these things, sure, they may be hiring some local carpenters and some local plumbers who worked in the Soviet system and things like that. I'm not saying they don't. But there's no real Soviet administrators administrating the occupied lands here in the East, like there are in the West. So, it's that sort of a thing. But, so you might very well set up a Russian rump state out here. But once you do that, then Germany is now in, the ability to fight off the U.S., because the U.S., how do I put this? If you're the great bulk of the German army, if it's intact, meaning it's sort of victorious, is going to be able to defeat the American Expeditionary Force, because you need to sort of look at that. Because the American Expeditionary Force, to the whole wide world, all the way around the world, was 100 army divisions strong. That's it. 100 divisions. I don't think it includes Marine Corps divisions, that's why I sort of said army divisions. And there are a lot of other troops, and some of them being combat troops that aren't part of the 100, that are U.S. deployed troops, but a lot of them are logistical and support, troops that are in Britain or wherever it may be. So they have a lot of other troops out there, but it's just 100 divisions strong. So, and that is, they made more divisions than that. They trained up and equipped more divisions than that in the U.S. But that was the Expeditionary Force. And that's heavily based upon what they thought they could support from the U.S. Because when a soldier, for the most part, in Burma, is eating food, that food was grown in, U.S. soldier, that food was grown in the U.S. for the most part. I'm not saying they didn't buy any local food in India, but the U.S. is shipping out at least enough to feed all of its personnel everywhere in the world. They may be giving out some of it to some British and some like Chinese divisions that were, trained up in India, that had escaped from China. And so they may be supplying some of the food there, and so they may be getting some rice or whatnot locally for some U.S. soldiers. But for the most part, every bullet, every bit of food, every bit of everything is coming from the U.S. And so the shipping. And then, of course, they are using so much shipping just to keep Britain alive, and to support the Free French forces, and to support, like I mentioned, the Chinese forces, and I don't know, many other things that they're supporting and keeping alive. And so those 100 divisions, and that's including the army divisions that were fighting in the Pacific campaign, because most of the Philippine operations were, as well as, not all, Guadalcanal and some of the others were very much Marine Corps operations down here, but they were also army operations too. But much of the Philippine landings and whatnot was done by the army. where it was Iwo Jima and some of these other islands out here that were done by the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps just isn't that big, even when it was at its super biggest during the war. So that's 100 Army divisions. Those 100 Army divisions facing, you know, sort of a victorious German army, one that hasn't been bled white, isn't going to defeat Germany. Now, does that mean the U.S. can't defeat Germany? No, they could, because one, they could get the nuclear bombs. Now, obviously, they tested, what, 1, 2 bombs, and then they dropped 2, and they were basically sort of, now what? The centrifuges were running in Kentucky or wherever, or Tennessee, or wherever the nuclear city was, where that they were doing the stuff. Because actually, like, built a city, or city-size thing, is for some of the Manhattan Project and whatnot. And, you know, so they were making more nuclear material, but they weren't ready to start dropping lots and lots of bombs. Now, I've recently, through some of the stuff that I've been reading and watching and whatnot, come to the conclusion that I thought the Germans were like, no way in hell getting anywhere near an atomic bomb. Yeah, they were doing some research. Totally knew that. But doing some research doesn't necessarily mean that you're anywhere near a bomb. But I'm now starting to, because I know how big, this just in general terms, how big the Manhattan Project was. And I didn't see a project, and I still don't see a project on that scale in Germany. But I have now started to see a bigger scale project. I don't think they were near getting a bomb, but I think they would have eventually. Now, what does that mean? You know, if they weren't being pounded to death, and the Americans weren't on their border sometime in 44, you know, I mean, things are going well. You know, sort of this kind of thing. You know, Britain over here, Germany over here, and doing well. Yeah, 47, 48, maybe they might have gotten a bomb. But then noticing how the Americans are going, and they don't have a lot of them, I don't think you're going to see many bombs raining out of the sky everywhere. That doesn't mean London doesn't get nuked with 1 or 2 bombs. Nukes may or may not be high yield. Obviously, we're not even talking about hydrogen bombs, but the sort of standard nukes may not be that big a high yield. And I don't quite, you know, more than a dirty bomb, but they might not have been some, because I just don't know enough, quite honestly, just don't know. But there's different paths to it, and you can get nuclear fusion, but it may not be, you know, a city killer. It may be one bomb takes out, you know, a diameter of 40 or 60 blocks, you know, I mean, you know, take out a big chunk of a city for one bomb. That would be, you know, very effective. But if you only have 4 or 5 of them, yeah, you could concentrate and take out, you know, with good patterns, you could take out London. London's a pretty big city. But that doesn't take out New York. That doesn't take out Detroit or Chicago or the rest of America. So I just don't see in the 47 and before range of nuclear weapons bombing out the other countries. I just don't see it. Now, I may be entirely wrong about this. I'll totally grant you. I'm not a well up on the sort of immediate post-war and how quickly they got more bombs. But I do understand once they dropped those 2 on Japan, it was sort of like there was none really ready to go. I'm not saying they weren't trying to, you know, build some more, but they didn't have more bombs to sort of like, yeah, you want to keep fighting, and we got 6 more bombs ready to drop on you. Nope. It was sort of like boom, and then boom, and they picked cities that hadn't been bombed, so it was clear the devastation. And sort of trying to get the impression is we're going to drop another one next week, and if you haven't quit by then, we're going to drop another one a week after that. You know, I mean, that was the impression. That wasn't the reality. So I don't know what they would have done, you know, if you have a U.S.-Germany situation. Now, of course, the U.S. has the manpower, has most definitely the production ability, and did create more than 100 divisions, and can build the shipping out to maintain more than 100 divisions. Oh, also all the shipping supporting, you know, supplies to the Soviet Union. was all going on. Of course, they could do that, but that's going to take longer and take more effort. So Germany could have won the war. I don't believe in any sort of realistic world that we'd see a man in a high castle situation from the series in which the U.S. is successfully invaded and conquered. I just don't see that. I haven't read the books on that. I have watched the series, and they sort of kind of, talk about Japan's invasion here and Germany's coming invading here. Yeah, okay, I don't know what all the prequel things that were going on. Was that a pacifist America that had no battleships and had no carriers and was attacked in 1941 and just had no, had not been gearing up and arming Britain, so they just got rolled? Maybe. And if we sort of, hypothesize that, a pacifist America who rejects warfare, because warfare is dirty and nasty, and if we just all go peacefully, we just lead the way, everyone will be peaceful. Well, as you know, and I'll say this briefly, pacifism is a dangerous philosophy. It doesn't mean you should be now I may be a supporter of wars. Like, oh, there's a war over there, we should go get in it because it's important to be on one side. Now, if you know from things, I don't believe the U.S. or the West should be in every war. I am not Lindsey Graham. I would love to have an interview with him and say, what war in the last 20 years that was out there do you think the U.S. should not have been involved in some way in, strategic bombing and helping allies? I don't think he could come up with one. Lindsey Graham is, there's a war, let's get into it. Oh, there's another one over there, let's get into that one too. He is a get into every war. Now, he isn't like, oh, well, Algeria isn't doing what we want, let's bomb Algeria tomorrow. He isn't like, let's go start war. But once a war happens, let's get into it. I mean, that's Lindsey Graham, and slightly lesser John McCain's viewpoint is, if there's a war going on, the U.S. has a moral authority to be involved in it and to help one side win. Sometimes I think both sides in the war are bad, and but that doesn't mean so you could have a nation and have a viewpoint sort of like Switzerland. Oh, there's a war out there, fine, we're not getting into it. Oh, you're killing off everybody on the planet, fine, we're not getting into it. But we are armed up and ready, and if you come after us, we're at war with you, and we're going to fight, and we're going to build all the armaments, and we're going to train all of our people to be as best soldiers as we can. Now, maybe, in the 1970s, when everybody had, the U.S. and Soviets had massive amounts of nuclear weapons, and Switzerland didn't have any, yeah, they may get nuked and plastered. But short of something like that, they're like, oh, there's a war, you're bringing it to us, we're ready for you as best we can. But they're not a pacifist nation. That's why I totally disagree with pacifism. You can be a non-interventionist, and you can go to the extremes. Thank you, Carr. The extremes of Switzerland with that, whether you're the U.S., you believe the U.S. should be that way, or whether you believe Liechtenstein should be that way. But Liechtenstein should have a militia. Now, who are they going to stop, the Italians or the Swiss from taking them over? I don't think so, but they should have a militia. That's my belief. Liechtenstein doesn't have to invade anybody or send peacekeeping troops somewhere in the world. They don't have to be involved. That's different. There's difference between wanting to join every war and being a pacifist and not arming up for a war. So like I say, I don't know Man in the High Castle's backstory well enough to know if that was the U.S. And if you have hypothesized the U.S. that kind of way, or something like that, then I could see that happening. But not in the reality starting in 1939 of our realities, and then do what ifs from there. I cannot see Japan and or Germany successfully invading in any major way. Yes, I could see 1941, Japan puts an infantry division on ships, and instead of going to Pearl Harbor, takes that carrier task force and whatever, lands somewhere on America and gets a toehold. I can see that. They ain't getting very far. They're just not. Even, you know, yeah, they could storm ashore and take a city or two. I mean, they could. You just got to understand what America was like back then, and the amount of arms and the ability to run a guerrilla campaign would shock the Japanese if they came and did that. Well, on that note, we're going to end this episode. I'm going to thank you for watching, and thank you, if you would, for liking that video. You can also dislike it if you really think I suck for some reason. Once in a while I get some of those. But do one or the other, and it helps the channel. And of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, corrections, your thoughts on any of these topics. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.